What's going on, guys? Welcome to the racetrack. We are here at Carolina Motorsports Park. I am pumped to be here. We got the tent set up. We got all sorts of work going on over here, and we are trying out for the first time ever our new lens that a buddy of mine gave me because I destroyed the other one, dropped the camera right on his nose and ruined it. But anyway, to be truthful, per the usual, I have already been out, I've already qualified. The car feels pretty good. The driver is, maybe not so much, but we are looking pretty good right over here. And you know what? We are dodging liquid sunshine this weekend. There's supposed to be a lot of liquid sunshine coming down. And we're hoping to avoid as much of that as possible. Qualifying was dry. I'm not sure the race is going to be dry. But either way, I'm pumped to be here, because I have tons and tons and tons of laps here, but not a one of them has ever been wheel to wheel. So I'm super excited to get to actually race this track as opposed to just drive this track. So that's awesome. I cannot wait for the race. I'm gonna be going up here in about an hour or so. So I want to cut straight to the race video and get right into it. Check this out. Okay, this is a totally new kind of video. Call it a guided tour of my race video. I'm going to give you some things I'm thinking about and seeing as I'm in the car. Now, listen to my left. You can hear that RX-7 to my left. You can see this red Mini in front of me. The red Mini is the car that I want to beat, and it's the car that I want to stick with. Now, you see this black BMW popping up on the right over here. He's going to be a problem pretty shortly. I'm bottlenecked. The RX-7 to my left, the BMW to my right. I don't want to lose the Mini. I have to watch both sides and in front of me to make sure I'm making the turns. This is what makes a start so hectic. And it just as one quick note, watch my helmet. Looking around, you can see that I'm watching my mirrors left and right and the center mirror up there in the top. These are all things to watch for as we go through this video, because you can kind of get an idea as a driver of what I'm looking at and what I'm paying attention to. So, obviously we made it through just fine. You can see the car kind of wiggling around a little bit. The tires are not quite under me yet. The tires are cold, they're green, they're not really sticking very well, and my confidence level is not very high. But this is all just first lap stuff. We're gonna go through really the whole first lap just so you know what the opener of a race looks like. And now we're entering the final turn. You can see the gap that this Mini has pulled on me. That was never going to happen. I just wanted to stay really as close as I could. But that's the first lap of a race. That's the start. It's always hectic. It's always super crazy. And as a driver, you just got to do the best you can. Now, moving into this section, this is actually kind of funny. You're going to notice up here on the right, you see a car re-entering the track there. That's actually my brother. That's really quite funny. I don't know what he did to get out there, but he messed up somewhere and he's over there. But mainly this BMW gets past me, and this is a really interesting thing that happens here at the back. You see how far offline he is. You see how I'm drawing him in. Well, this is a problem right here. Right there. I am full throttled through that turn. I don't lift. The problem is, as I got up to him, I expected him to drive away because he's got 3 times the horsepower, and he didn't. And that created a problem for me because I was committed to the corner. If I lift, if I brake, I will spin in that spot. So I can't lift. And so this is a really interesting thing that happens fairly often. At the back of the pack, you've got people who are new, you've got people who are not comfortable, all these kinds of things happening. I'm slow because the car makes 100 horsepower. They're slow because they don't have a lot of confidence in the car. So it's a really interesting phenomenon that happens fairly often. We've got another faster car moving through here, and you see me shaking my head here. You always feel kind of dumb when people just drive away from you, because in a slower car, you're really working your butt off to get the speed that you're looking for, and you feel like these people who should be just driving away from you, they should have never been back here with you anyway. It just feels very easy for them to step on the gas and drive away, where you're like your teeth, hair, and eyeballs white knuckle trying to make the speed, and you're working your butt off, and they step on the gas and drive away. There's just nothing you can do about it. So it can be a very frustrating thing, and it's very comical to look back on later, but in the moment you just kind of sit there and think, man, this is so annoying. So this is another really interesting one. You can see that white speck up there on the horizon. That's a much slower car that I'm catching up to. And remember what I said about you can't, in a front-wheel drive car, you can't bail mid-corner because you will spin. And so here, you can hear I'm waffling throttle where I usually was back on it. And you can see how quickly I'm reeling this car in. And if you're watching my helmet, you can also see me looking in my mirrors. I just checked the right side mirror, and here in a moment I'm going to check the top mirror and the right one again. And here's the point, and here is a much faster car going by. But that's a really good example of you're kind of getting squeezed here sometimes. I don't want to lift because I'm in a slow car and I'm working really hard to keep my speed. I don't want to ruin his race because the second car, I will point by here in just a second. He's a second place car. He's in a race. He's leading overall. He's leading his class. And the second place car is right here. And these are two great examples of kind of being squeezed in awkward places. You really don't want to go off there in the kink that we just went through. It's very fast. Good chance in this car that I would just start going end over end if I messed it up, got sideways, and out into the grass. It really just serves as a really interesting example of things that happen that you might not see from your advantage, or from your vantage point rather. You know, there's lots of cars on track. I do mixed class racing, so there's lots of different speeds on track, and these are all things that as a driver you have to keep track of in order in order to not be that guy. I don't ever want to ruin somebody's race for being in the way. And so, you know, watching your mirrors, giving good point buys, making sure you know who's behind you, and keeping track of who's in front of you as well are all really important things to make sure that you are being the best racer that you can be. And this is just a beautiful example of a car that I really love. It's an absolute pleasure to be on the track. Let's listen to it go by. It is a beautiful sound this car makes, and it's very fast. Watch it go through this corner. The way it points and just fires out the exit. It's a beautiful car. It's one of my favorites. It's a car my dad started racing with way back in the late 80s. Beautiful example. And here we are coming to the checker. This is the last lap, last corner, last time I'm going through here. You can see me looking out the left window there and waving to my family and my friends who are standing over there in the paddock. This race is over. I spent most of my time driving around by myself, but what's important to know is that I learned quite a bit, and going into the next race is going to be very, very different. Here are my thoughts right now. Shoo! So that got kind of crazy. Ultimately, my goal was to stick with that red Mini that was in front of me there and see if I could race him, and that was just not going to happen. I actually talked to another B-Spec guy who happens to be here this weekend, and he couldn't even keep up with him, and he's typically top 3, top 5 runoffs finisher. So if he can't keep up with him, I certainly am not. I'm a little disappointed in my own performance. I didn't find the speed I was hoping to find. I didn't really find but just a few tenths, which is kind of annoying because I feel like I was driving a lot better, but obviously I just wasn't about it, wasn't with it. So that's a little disappointing, but tomorrow is another day. I have qualifying again tomorrow morning, and then another slightly shorter race tomorrow afternoon. The weather has held up beautifully so far. I am satisfied. If it rains during the race tomorrow, that's fine. Whatever, it rains. But anyway, I'm gonna take a quick nap because it's feeling really nappy in here, and I will be back with you guys when there's something to talk about. So here is the next race. Couple of things to notice. If you look above the left side of the steering wheel, there's a screen. I am borrowing data collection. I've already used it in qualifying, and I've learned quite a bit. Now, there's that yellow Escort we talked about earlier. To his left is the Mini that we raced before. To that left is the RX-7 that we have seen in the previous race. This race, guys, is very different than the last race. I learned a lot. I had a goal. I was going to come in and pick up some speed. Let's watch this opening lap and see what happens. So already you see me looking at the left side. That's because there's a Miata over there that's really jamming me up. I would love to have gotten past this Escort already, but I just can't get there. I can't get it done. I try right here. It felt really hairy. I wasn't sure if he knew I was there or not. Best to just bail out and not have to repair any body damage. But that's an example of don't get ahead of yourself. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, because I am losing ground on this red Mini that I wanted to be around, but there's no sense in messing up a car to make that happen. So I hate it. It really hurts as a driver to just kind of go, you know what, let me just bail out of this one and let it go. But nonetheless, that's the decision that you have to make. And these are all things that are going through my head on the start. So we are coming to the close of the first lap, and interestingly enough, the pack is not getting away from us today. We are pushing harder, we're going a little bit faster. You see the green on the screen over there to the left. That shows that I'm going faster. I haven't reached my peak speed, obviously, but it's interesting because here we are, right back with the red Mini. Our patience paid off, and we're right back with him where we wanted to be to begin with, and gaining on him. Look at me reel him in here, and right here, that's an important point that is going to be a theme through the rest of this video, through the rest of this race. I was able to reel him in because he's slow through the corners, but he's got motor. Relatively speaking, obviously, he has motor and can just drive away. Watch him here as he just very slowly but very distinctly walks away from me here. But not enough, because I'm still able to stay with him a little bit. Now there is something funny going on. If you listen, you can hear it. I don't really get what it is just yet at this point in the video, but there's something funny going on. I'll let you listen here. It's a pretty weird noise we just heard, and he slowed down and it let me get up next to him. It's important to keep your cool in this situation. This is exactly what I'd been looking for all weekend, and I was able to make it happen. Don't really know what's going on with that other car just yet, but I was able to get by him, and that's what's important. At this point, my entire goal, you see me glance in the mirror right there, my entire goal right now is to just put my head down and put in some laps. Using a data collection, I found some things that I could do better to pick up more speed, and there were a whole bunch of things, but I picked 3 or 4 of them, and my goal was to get past the Mini. If I can get by him, I can keep up with him, and if I can keep up with him, I can put my head down, get to work, put in some laps. And so that's my goal right now, is to stay focused and try to pick up some speed and try to drive away from the Mini, which, spoiler alert, works for quite a while. So right here is a great example. Watch my hands and listen. Right there, this is a great example of, as a driver, you've got to find a balance between working hard to pick up speed, but also not dumping the car, because remember, my competition is still behind me. If I mess up, he's on my butt and he's taking the position back, and I don't want that, but I still want to find some speed, and I created a little bobble for myself there. And so right here is another example. I turn in later, I apex later. That allows me to get cleaner on the throttle and get out of there faster. And it works. If you're watching the timer on the left, you can see that it works. This is an example of what I'm talking about. Try things. You gotta go faster. You gotta pick up speed. And I was trying to do that while also trying to be mindful of the mini behind me. If you're watching, you can see me glancing through mirrors, trying to figure out where this guy is and what he's doing. Okay, and right here, this is where it gets really, really good. Lots of things are happening. I had some mistakes, and if you can hear, our friend in the red mini is back again, still making that funny noise. Still don't quite know what that's all about. As a driver, I'm trying to think, like, what's going on with this guy? Why is this happening? But in any case, he's back in front of me, and it's less than ideal. You will see me shake my head about it here in a moment. But this is just what we have to deal with. You just get right back to hit your marks. In a situation like this, it's important not to get flustered. I'm not great at that, but it's important not to get flustered, and it's important to keep hitting your marks. Focus on your braking points, your turn-in points. Keep putting those laps, and see what kind of speed you can make. See what you can make happen. And speaking of not getting flustered, here's a great example. You see how he dropped wheels off, then pulled the car sideways? He made a mistake. It allows me to gain this space back on him right here. But he can still use that horsepower and pull away. Now right here, this is where it all begins. Watch this. Way off, way off. The scale is hard to see, but he was a full car length and a half, 2 car lengths off to the right side. He can't go through that second corner because his tires are dirty, and he still is able to use that horsepower to pull away. At this point, because of how I can stick with him in the corners but not on the straightaways, and it's very frustrating. It's so hard to keep your cool, but you have to try so hard to do just that. I mean, and look at how far offline he is here. It's a very sloppy lap, very sloppy lap. Now, it is you can see me shaking my head again. It is reasonable to be upset. He drove way off. He cut a huge length off his race by driving off. But you know what? Got to give it to him. It happens. We all mess up. He just overdrove one, trying to stay ahead of me. He knows he can't stay there for long. He overdrove one, trying to stay ahead of me, and couldn't get it done. Drove off track by accident, so that's fine. And you can see me just there. You can kind of hear me talking to myself in the helmet, trying to be like, just calm down, relax, put in your laps, and watch him. If he's this sloppy now, chances are he's only going to get sloppier as the brakes get hot, the tires get hot, all that stuff starts to happen. Chances are he'll just get sloppier. Now this here is a tactic that I've been working on. Didn't work. I should stop working on it. But I thought that if I can fake him out, make him think I'm going to jump under him, he'll stay wide and he'll be offline, and maybe I'll have a chance to keep up with him. It doesn't work. It rarely works. I got to stop trying that. But we're going to keep watching this. I'm going to let you guys soak it in. Watch as these gaps grow and close, and pay attention to where they grow and close. So just there, you heard him lift, and this is my reaction to not being able to keep up still. It's so frustrating, because he lifted and I never did, but he's still able to keep that gap because of the horsepower. That's just a thing that you deal with. And here he is running off again, and now he's offline. The car was pulled sideways, and he's he's a full car width offline this time. All these things are happening while I'm trying to keep my head on straight and stay cool, but it's so tough. It's so tough, you guys. So because of that noise, which I figured out, it's because he's stuck in gear. The car is broken. He doesn't have the top speed, and I'm able to get close to him again, and I'm able to put an attack in, and I'm able to make it work. So we're back where we want to be. We're in front of him, but he is close behind, and we cannot rest. We cannot let up. We have to keep our head down and keep going. So unfortunately, this is a couple laps later, but I'm not able to make that lead last. I make a mistake here. I've jerked the wheel over. It's a little bit too much for the car to handle. I let the car go too wide, and it pulls it sideways. Now I'm offline. It's a mess, but it gives him just the amount of time that he needs. So I'm going to move as far right as I can, squeeze him down as far low as I can to give him as bad an entry as possible, while I swing back out for a better entry at the last minute, but it just doesn't work out. You can hear me exclaim there about how unhappy I am with how that went. It did not go according to my plan. But we are able to keep him relatively close. You see how he's not able to drive away because he doesn't have fourth gear, and he can't. He can't get that top speed he needs to get away from me. And he doesn't leave me in the corners, as you can see here. I've reeled him in, and I've kept him close, which is going to be a theme and has been a theme through this whole race. So, racing is a sport of passion. Because I've been busting my butt trying to stay with him, and it's just not working out for me. As you can see there, he's just able to drive away from me. Watch what happens here. Watch this. I pull him in under braking, and once again he overdrives the corner, and I am less than thrilled about it. Sprays the front of the car with rocks and grass and all this stuff. And look at the distance he's been able to pull on me, because he essentially skipped part of the course. He's able to pull this massive distance on me that I am able to just pull right back again, because he's just not quick through the corners. This part is extremely frustrating. It was really hard to keep my head under pressure at this point, because by now I've just feel as though I've done a way better job keeping my car together, keeping my line together, and it's just because he's got so much horsepower, he can just drive away from me. It's effortless for him. Now, at this point, I know that this is the final lap. This is the last time I'm going to see any of these things, any of these corners here. So it's time to throw down some last-ditch efforts, which, remember how I said it didn't work before? Well, guess what? Spoiler alert, I tried again, poked my nose under him a little bit just to see if I can fake him out and keep him wide. And it doesn't work. Not only did it not work, but now I've lost all this ground because I had a terrible corner entry. But here is one final example of the horsepower he has on tap. Watch him here, way offline, pulls the car huge sideways, and I'm in the helmet, I'm like, this is it. I just won. He screwed up and threw his race away. This is all me. Until right here, the horsepower, man, he can just pull away. Just pull away. And that's the end of the race. That was Checker. And so that right there was the race. That is how it went for me. I am editing up over here behind me, and I realized I never filmed a closer for this video. It was very frustrating. When I first started driving, I was very animated in the car, and lots of hand motions, lots of things going on. And as I'm getting faster and kind of, I'm going to use the word competitive, but as I'm getting faster and more competitive, this animation is coming back. Racing is a sport of passion, and I drive with a lot of emotion in general. And so to have something like this happening where I feel like I'm really driving as well as I can right now, and just have this other person drive away from me with no effort because he can just step on the gas and drive away and he's done. So very frustrating. And so that's what you saw kind of all boil over there at the end, where he made this huge mistake. The bobble was massive. You could see how much distance he had to me and how I was able to just freight train up to him. But the moment I got to his rear bumper is the moment he started making power and was able just to keep his gap. I knew, when I tell you that I knew in my heart, I was like, that's it. I win. I won this race. He will not be able to recover by the time we get to the finish line. I will win. I will win by the skin of the bumper. But I've got it, I win. And then that happened. And so what you see there is a bit of a boiling over on my part inside the helmet, driving the red mist, as they say. But it was a valuable experience. I learned a lot. And once I got out of the car and I got calmed down a little bit, it was a good race. It was a good time, lots of back and forth. One thing I do want to note is my coach for the weekend watched the video and kind of said, I think if you want to protest, I think you can. And I was like, well, oh man, I'm going to have to be here for so long because the stewards take forever to get to it. They have to wait for the race to be over and then review the footage and blah, blah, blah. Take statements, all this stuff. It's a regional race. There's nothing for real on the line. Like, I'm just going to be mad about it for a little while and that's fine. Like, we'll just let it go. And he says, well, you know what? Let me take the video up there. And that way it's not you, it's just me. And I said, fine, that sounds great. And so he took the video up there, talked to a couple stewards, and when he came back, he says, if you want to protest, you will win the protest. You just got to go up there and throw the paperwork. And ultimately, again, I decided, I don't want to mess with that. It's too much. It's a regional race. It's beginning of the season. Who cares? It's fine. I came out of the other side with a lot more knowledge, with what could be a pretty good race. And I'm satisfied with that. I'm just going to pack it up and go home and be mad about it for a couple hours. Which is exactly what happened. On the way home, I kind of sorted myself out. I thought long and hard and felt all of my feelings and kind of went, you know what? It's fine. I got to drive a race car this weekend, so it can't be that bad. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not upset because I lost. That's not the point. I'm upset because I feel as though I drove a better race. I had a better car. I took care of my equipment better than he did. And he was still able to steal the win away from me by skipping the course. On purpose or otherwise, he skipped the course twice, gained huge distance on me that I just could not get back again. And that's what really bothered me. I've lost lots of races. It's not a problem for me. What is a problem is if I feel like a race has been stolen from me. Like I said, I think I drove with way fewer mistakes. I drove a better race. My car was in better condition at the end because I took better care of it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, kind of a guided tour of the race. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think about this type of video. I plan to do more of these, but let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. It gets really exciting when I watch my own race video. I just gets me going all over again. In any case, thank you guys so much for watching. Find me on Instagram between videos at The.Daily.Racer. I'm very active over there. There's always stuff going on. You get some sneak peeks of a lot of stuff coming up. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.